Well, my friends. Tu l'as-tu, Marco?
Councilor Logan, maybe you want to mute yourself?
I did.
No.
No.
Mute.
Mute. Being 7 o'clock, I'll call this special or this monthly council meeting to order. J'appelle cette réunion à l'ordre du jour. Réunion du mois de février, toujours les deuxièmes lundis du mois. Joining us via Teams are Councillor Loga and Councillor Babcock, and a big delegation this evening. Family Godette and Carole, who is retiring. So welcome, bonsoir, and welcome to our meeting. I'll call this meeting to order and the adoption of the agenda, please. L'adoption de l'ordre du jour.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I would move for the adoption of the agenda.
Do we have a seconder?
I'll second.
It was moved by Deputy Mayor Seard, seconded by Councillor Parent, that the agenda be adopted. On the question. On the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Against? Motion carried. Before we go on to our meetings, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, there is a world conflict at this time, and throughout this province, municipal councils have had a moment of silence, so to recognize those that have been killed. So, je demanderais, si c'est possible, de bien vouloir vous lever as we observe a moment of silence, une minute de silence. Thank you. Merci. Any disclosures of conflicts of interest, des conflits d'intérêt? You've seen the agenda. You had received that prior to tonight's meeting. Being done, we'll move on to the adoption of the minutes, le procès verbal de la réunion du 14 février et celle du 7 mars. Someone move those minutes?
Mr. Mayor, I would move for the adoption of both the February 14th and the March 7th minutes.
Do we have a seconder, un secondeur?
Second.
Secondé par le conseiller Savoie. On the question, sur la question, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Against? Motion is carried. We'll now move on to public presentation, petitions and appearances, présentation, pétitions et interventions. Et ce soir, il me fait un grand plaisir d'honorer deux individus, un employé et un citoyen. It is a great honor this evening to recognize an employee and a citizen of our city. Professionalism, commitment to best practices, and high standards of excellence are at the heart of tonight's two recognitions. Notre force, ce sont nos employés et nos bénévoles dans notre communauté, et souvent, ils sont les héros méconnus de nos communautés. Our first to be honored this evening is Carole Savoie. More than 32 years with the city of Campbellton, plus de 32 ans de service avec la ville de Campbellton. Une retraite bien méritée, a well-deserved retirement. Whether it is a tenure of 5 years, 10, 15, 30, or more, our employees' daily contributions of talent and energy make our organization strong. Ceux qui connaissent Carole connaissent la passion, l'engagement envers l'excellence et le soin complet qu'elle met dans tout ce qu'elle fait ou a fait. More than 32 years of service, Carole has lived our city's values, and we are happy tonight to celebrate her accomplishments. There is no greater calling than to be of service to others, and no higher purpose than to make a difference in people's lives. The people who work for the city of Campbellton do their jobs with pride and passion. Carole, I want, on behalf of my council colleagues tonight, to thank you for your dedication to the city and for working so hard to make Campbellton the community it is today. You are the manifestation of the higher values of public service and civic responsibility. Carole, tu as apporté une contribution considérable, non seulement par ton travail dans le domaine des finances avec la ville, mais aussi par ton implication avec le Festival du Saumon et de nombreuses autres organisations. Tu as consacré ta vie professionnelle à la ville de Campbellton. Merci beaucoup. L'expérience que tu as est inestimable et il sera difficile de la remplacer. Je prie pour que ta retraite soit tout dont ce tu rêves. Merci. Thank you. Et si tu veux te joindre à moi en avant, j'ai un petit cadeau. Merci beaucoup. Thank you. On va l'honorer une autre fois interne avec les employés. Before we recognize our second individual, I would ask his daughter to come forward. Je demanderai à sa fille de bien vouloir venir, s'avancer au micro et dire quelques mots, to say a few words, and then we will recognize Monsieur Ben Godet this evening, who is 90 years old, and at the same time we're recognizing him for his years of volunteering, ses années de bénévolat. Allez-y, madame.
Premièrement, je voudrais dire merci au maire, à tout le conseil de nous recevoir ce soir. Et surtout, un gros merci à Frédéric pour nous avoir lancé l'idée de venir ce soir et être présent.
OK, attendez une minute, je pense que le micro est...
Bonsoir tout le monde. Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le maire et tout le conseil, de nous recevoir ce soir. Ça fait chaud au cœur, puis on reconnaît que c'est quand même une occasion spéciale pour notre papa. Mais trop loin du micro? OK, ça va. Bon, merci surtout à Frédéric, parce que quand on s'est parlé dans un premier temps, c'est toi qui nous as lancé l'idée de venir puis d'être présent ici ce soir. Alors, merci tout le monde. Ma présentation, c'est une présentation parce que j'étais censée vous donner une liste. Je n'ai pas été capable de faire une liste. Ça ne sortait pas. Okay. Puis je me promenais dans la maison. Des journées ont passé, les semaines ont passé, parce que ça fait longtemps qu'on travaille là-dessus. Hein? Finalement, je m'ai assis, puis j'ai écrit ceci. I sat down and I wrote this. It just came out. So here we go. The unimaginable. Ben Benoit Godet turns 90. March 17th is a particularly special day in our family this year as our father turns 90. This is unimaginable because to us and to many of you who know him, Dad is ageless. And with that, with what I'm about to share with you, it's no wonder that anyone could accomplish as much as he did in one lifetime. Je vous présente donc mon père Benoît Godet, fils de Léo, qui était dentiste ici à Hamilton autrefois, à André, à Thaddée, à David, tous des ancêtres de la région de Memramcook du Nouveau-Brunswick. Inside joke. Fils unique, sa mère jouait à l'occasion des belles pièces au piano dans leur salon. Ce fut possiblement ses premières notes qui auraient piqué son intérêt et instauré sa passion à vie pour la musique. Only a boy, Dad befriended a very musical family, our mom's family. And music, song, and dance were a big part of Campbellton at that time. And so it was that music became a big part of his life. As a young man, Dad played with my uncles and my grandfather's Harry Como's band that later became the infamous Stardusters Band in 1949. I hope I got that right, Dad. Okay. Then in the early 80s, while stationed in Nova Scotia, Dad would play and become known for his natural gift as a saxophone player with a local jazz quintet as well as the military marching band at the 14-wing Greenwood Royal Canadian Air Force Base. With the return to civilian life in Campbellton, Dad joined up with a new group of musicians, the Commanders, according to Pierre, before reforming the Stardusters in 1975 and continuing to play at the Campbellton Main Brace, the Chateau Hotel, and dance halls in the Dalhousie region up and down the Acadian Peninsula, all the way down to Moncton, the Mattapitia Valley, and the Gaspé Coast. They played at weddings and Saturday night dances and Salmon Festival events and New Year's Eve dances and concerts and more. And those who attended may have forgotten the exact places or dates, but they remembered only one thing: the joy Dad and his music brought to their lives. You can still hear people talk about it. With a bit of help, Dad created a CD of 27 tunes, as he called them, for our listening pleasure, entitled The Stardusters Live, The Golden Memories, 1949 to 1989. In later years, Dad created or became part of other bands like The Old Friends, recording yet another CD called Sentimentally Yours in 2001. And then there's the community concerts bands performing at social events and benefits with Bathurst, in Bathurst. Many people know Dad through music, and some fondly remember playing under his direction in either the Campbellton Richelieu Marching Band or the Sugarloaf Senior High School Concert Band, a 19-piece youth orchestra called the Opus One, complete with saxophone, trumpets, drums, percussion, bass guitars, and keyboard. Quite an adventure. The band even played at the Grey Cup event in Toronto in 1978. And then there was that memorable performance for the Prince and Princess of Wales, Diana and Charles, during a visit to our Sugarloaf Park in 1983. Imagine the memories of these kids. Dad is a self-taught musician and believes anyone can learn and be good at it if you try and commit to as little as 15 minutes, he says. His greatest joy is to see someone, young and not so young, learn their chosen musical instrument. Lors de sa retraite, Papa a donné des leçons de musique privées chez lui pendant plusieurs années, sans aucune formation pédagogique. Papa a pris l'initiative de partager ses connaissances à titre d'aide enseignant, chef d'orchestre à l'école Senior High de Campbellton, tout bonnement, comme bénévole, et ce aussi pendant plus de 20 ans. Dad didn't forget our seniors in our local homes, bringing them the music from long ago and the memories of happy times. The school band would learn a life lesson and cherish this too. Dad also enjoyed many interests and hobbies, and as a father of 5 boys and 2 girls, he even found the time to coach minor hockey, squirt, pee-wee level, and was president of Minor Hockey League in 1969. Is that right, Dad? And for many years, he flooded our backyard at night to build a skating rink, and he helped his boys build go-karts to ride in the Salmon Festival races. And then he belonged to a group, and I don't understand this part, who built, flew, and crashed the remote-controlled airplanes out in their local fields. Dad is profoundly proud of his Canadian heritage and cares deeply about the preservation of its history. This is what drew him to gather hundreds of photos that led to the creation of what he called a pictorial essay in the form of a beautifully detailed video in 1996. This was a collaboration of love, a meaningful and much appreciated gift to the citizens of Campbellton from far and near. He still gets requests. Over the years, Dad has received many awards of merits, like, for example, the Campbellton Rotary Paul Harris Fellowship Medal in 1985, given to recognize the Rotary motto of service above self. And in 2012, the Queen Elizabeth II Diamond Jubilee Medal awarded to honor, quote, significant contributions and achievements by Canadians as a community volunteer. Throughout his lifetime, I'm almost done, Dad was driven by his love of music and his hometown of Campbellton, and he's not done yet. During these uncertain times of COVID-19 pandemic, he reached out to the community and created another band in Campbellton where some of Dad's former students eagerly accepted to join and respecting all of the regulated health restrictions. Nothing can stop the music. Not surprisingly, one more thing remains on this bucket list: to arrange and record a Christmas album. It's early yet. My hunch is it's on the way. So in closing, we'd like to share, our family, we'd like to share a piece from an article that was written in 2002 in a Telegraph journal, where the journalist says, until then, Mr. Godet plans to keep busy by passing on his love of music to children and helping Campbellton residents understand how their city has developed since the beginning of the 20th century. It's good to see some things don't change. So bravo, well done, Papa, bonne fête. Congratulations on receiving this recognition from the city of Campbellton. We are very proud of you and we love you, your kids. And Dad says, oh, and there's more. So thank you for this opportunity. Merci beaucoup.
Well, no problem. Thank you for bringing Ben to City Hall. And before we present him with a certificate and gift, I have a few words for Monsieur Godet. You can remain seated, Ben. Oh, yes. I'm not the king or the queen. Ben Godet, soon to be 90. In the 60s and 70s, music brought together communities across this region. Gabriel Bernstein once said, and I quote, "Music is one of the greatest tools we have to reconnect ourselves to our inner spirits. If you feel frustrated, angry, or negative about certain areas of your life, you can use music to re-energize from the inside out." Ben Godet is a synonym for music in our community and region. You had a direct, positive, and empowering impact on hundreds of young students. As has been said, music evokes so many feelings in us, memories, nostalgia, things that are connected to our past. Ben experienced a sense of accomplishments through teaching these students. You also saw that the lessons made a difference in your students. When you hear a good speaker speak, they often touch on your previous experience and emotions. Such was the case with Ben Godet, a longtime teacher, volunteer of music. Music had a significant impact on his life and the lives of many others who choose to experience it by listening, playing, composing, conducting, improvising, and more. I know this because music is something that the Como family, my grandfather, his brothers, some of my uncles, aunts, and cousins continue to enjoy by playing in a band. The Stardusters is certainly not a strange name in our corner of the world. I remember Ben once said, music is a unique and promising medium for engaging youth. Thank you for your years of helping our youth, whether it was with the majorettes, musical bands, or individual teaching. You made a difference, and for this, tonight the city is happy to recognize your countless hours and years of volunteering. So Ben, if you want to join me in front, I have a gift and a certificate to present to you on behalf of the city. First, we'll present to you a certificate.
Apporte-la plus près de...
This belles années. 90 years. Yeah. Oh, stay there. Oh, keep going. Check.
The check is here.
Now, why can't I go? Here is a frame you can put in your house. Congratulations, Benoit Gadet, on your 90th birthday from Mayor Ian Como and Council.
Well, isn't that nice? Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Congratulations. Yes, you can say a few words. Just go over and thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor and councilors, I don't know where to begin, but I'm so grateful for this honor, to be honest with you. Something that I never expected. The last time I had an honor from the city was when I was named Citizen of the Year 1992, which was like 2 years ago, right? You remember that? I would just like to reminisce, if you don't mind, for a few minutes, about my growing up in this town. First of all, I love this place. It was super, and it still is. Unfortunately, it's not to the rank that it was when I was a kid. Let me go back a few years. I remember, as a small child, when they did the sidewalks. At first, it was a gentleman with a horse and a wheel in the back, and a large wheel. It looks like an oil barrel, and it flattened down the snow on the sidewalk. So places like, let's say McRae's, where you come across around the subway, and there's 2 stores there, that used to be McRae's. Well, the snow was so high that they had to make steps so that you step down from the snow going down to the store, as an example. Right across from there was a little hill going down to next to where I was brought up, and people would come across the river with a horse and buggy. So at first they let the people drive all the way around town with their buggies, and that was fine. But then they said, because there's too much, excuse me, horse shit on the roads, we're going to stop you from doing that. So they had to leave the horse and sleds next door to where I was born. Anyway, so the people would do their things. So as I say, they would come across with horse and buggy. As far as the horse shit, I remember when it first came that the city said, we can't leave all that stuff on the roadway. So they hired somebody. So the man had a sort of a buggy, and in the morning, he would start at the upper end of Roseberry Street, come all the way down Roseberry, subway and water, and all we'd do was picking up the shit and put it in a barrel. Horse shit. things have changed since then.
Fill the
I
potholes.
remember there's a different kind of stuff. I remember too, as a kid, going to school, right across from the high school, from the fire station. There was a blacksmith shop, and coming back from school, I used to go to the academy, which was next to the French church. Coming back, I would stop and watch the blacksmith. Not the blacksmith. Anyway, the gentleman put horseshoes on the horses and all that kind of stuff, and that was kind of interesting. Let me progress a little bit to mid-50s. This place was booming, and I mean booming. Summertime, the ships were in here. I remember the ships when they came here. The last one I remember, would you believe, was a four-masted schooner. I remember that. I don't know how old I was, probably 6 or 7. Speaking of 6 or 7, I remember one year there was a ship that came, and it went across the river to the Restigouche Reserve. There used to be a mill there, and it was operated by the Shampoos. They cut the lumber, and the ships would go up there, 2 or 3 masted schooners from overseas, load the ships, and then, of course, they would go back. One year, I don't know how old I was, probably 4 or something, and where I lived, we were overlooking the water. And one night, my dad came and he said, "Come and see this, come and see this." So we went to the back porch and we had a look, and sure enough, one of the ships that had been tied up at the wharf across the river was on fire. So they let it go down because the tide was falling. So the ship went down, and it went down until we couldn't see it anymore because of the buildings down at the far end of the street where we were. Some of the other things that I remember was joining the Legion Band. I was probably 17 then, and I met Lloyd Seeley one day and with a friend of mine, Paul Como, and he said, "Why don't you join the band?" I said, "I don't know how to play anything." He said, "We'll teach you." So I joined the band. "What are you going to play?" Well, I said, "I don't know." He said, "You ever play trombone?" I don't know the first thing about anyway, so I started to play trombone with the band. So over the years from then, I joined the Air Force, came back, and so on. But anyway, I played with the Legion Band for a bunch of years. And from there, I went to Dalhousie because they had a band, and Lloyd Seeley had died here. So much for that. And the Legion building had burned, and all the instruments had burned, along with all the music and everything else. So over the years, the town has changed tremendously. In my estimation, late 50s, early 60s, this was the boomer. Everything was going. Railroad was going. Ships would come in here. You name it, everything was fine. And then there was all kinds of little clubs where we played to and all that sort of stuff. Made it really, really interesting for everybody. Everybody. There'd be 2, 3, 4 weddings a week. So I'd be there playing the weddings and stuff, and sometimes it would be 2 in the same day. Play one in the afternoon, play one in the evening. Various things from... I'm trying to remember all the good points and the sour points. But the town itself, unfortunately, was not able to maintain itself, and that's the hardest part. And it's not only here; it's everywhere. I remember one of the years that my wife and I went cross country, and we stopped in this little place in Manitoba, and same thing had happened to them, and it was down, and they'd lost a hospital, and then they lost this, and they lost that, and there was no more garages. Just think of what this place, at one time there was 14 grocery stores in this town. 14 grocery stores. And everybody made a living. And nowadays, thank you, everybody made a living. Things have changed since then. There was probably another dozen corner stores. Corner stores, nobody was in to make a buck. Everybody was here because it was, let's be a service to the clientele, and that's the way it was. So maybe this store, they sold a can of beans for 1 cent more than the next store, but anyway, everybody made $1. So when you compare today, where are we? We have one store in town, one store in town. Sorry, one store. The other one is in Atherville, and we have one in Cross Point. Unfortunately, they call that progress. I don't call that progress, but anyway, it's unfortunate, that there's too much greed involved. The town, I appreciate what the town is trying to do with the limited dollars that you have. It's a wonder that you can operate at all, because there's so many, and people are always bitching. Look at the roads are terrible, this and that and the other thing. You know, some people don't realize that it costs money to fill holes or to pave one. Speaking of paving, I remember I was, what, 3 or 4? This must be the second time that they were paving Water Street with a real steamroller. With a real steamroller, you know, putting coal into the steam and the noise. It was just, you know, I'm just thinking about it as we go. I'm rambling on here, but you know, I don't want to not borrow, but
I'll have to.
Bore. I don't want to bore.
I'm just gonna have to interfere with you, Ben, because we have a meeting and we have another meeting coming up there. So I want to again thank you very much for your years, but thank you for bringing us back to a couple of years back when some of us weren't even in existence. And enjoy your night, enjoy your 90 years.
Thank you.
And maybe one night we'll bring you back and you can share all your history.
I appreciate, and I'm sorry I took up too much of your time.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Okay.
And I'll give you a minute or so there. I know that some of you wanted to leave. Carole aussi. So thank you. Merci encore une fois. And enjoy your evening. Bonne soirée.
I'll be buying champagne. Demain, je serai ici demain.
Okay, we will continue with our meeting. We're now into zoning matters, and if someone could read the building inspector's report, le rapport de l'inspecteur et des bâtiments, s'il vous plaît. Oh, excuse me. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, just one sec, Mr. Mayor. Mayor and Council, I'd like to present to you the enclosed building report and summary for the month of February 2022. And I'm just going to open that up for a second here. Oh, there it is. So for the building permits that were reported for the month of February 2022, there were 3 that were issued for an estimated amount of $801,700. And for, oh, no, that was in the,
Yeah, that's
right, that's good.
That's good.
Exactly.
So it was moved by Deputy Mayor Cyr that the report showing 3 permits of $801,700 to be adopted. Do we have a seconder or a secondaire?
Juste.
Secondé par le conseiller Daigle. On the question, sur la question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Against? Motion is carried. Next is the ratification of the Treasurer's report, le rapport du Trésorier for block number 2. Someone can read that, please.
Oui, Monsieur le maire. Ville de Campbellton, rapport mensuel de la trésorière période numéro 2, 23 janvier 2022, 19 février 2022, sommaire au conseil de ville de Campbellton. Dépenses pour la période numéro 2 de la comptabilité prenant fin le 19 février 2022 et conformément à l'arrêté numéro A3, article 60, je soumets par la présente le rapport relatif aux dépenses pour la période numéro 2 pour approbation d'un montant de 1 758 045 et 8 cents.
We have a seconder, un secondaire.
Seconde, Monsieur le maire.
Secondé par le conseiller Savoie. Sur la question, on the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Against? You have a question?
No, just
No?
clarification for
Oh,
the next one.
we have a clarification by our clerk. Go ahead.
Unfortunately, there was a technical issue and the standing committee report was not attached, so we'll bring it to the next meeting.
Okay, I saw that. So the the standing committees, which is a presentation of numbers 7A and 7B, is not attached there. So what we'll do is we'll go to appointments to committees, the nomination à des comités. There being none, we'll go to 9A, a motion, and maybe we can start with Conseiller Savoie or Deputy Mayor Cyr. Go ahead with R2 management.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved by the Council of the City of Campbellton to ratify the services of R2 Employment Solutions for the recruitment of an administrative assistant at the cost of $8,000 plus applicable taxes.
Do we have a seconder, un secondaire? Secondé par le conseiller Daigle. On the question, sur la question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Against? Motion is carried. Next is a resolution in regards to, just looking here at my agenda, sorry. Soccer field, donation of soccer equipment, École Le Galion. If we can have some, maybe conseiller Savoie, tu veux dire?
Oui, Monsieur le maire, attendu que le conseil municipal supporte des individus et des divers groupes communautaires qui reconnaissent l'importance de ces organisations. Attendu que lors de la réunion du comité de finances et de l'administration tenue le 14 février 2022, le conseil de la ville de Campbellton a pris la décision de faire un don de certains de ses équipements de soccer à l'école Le Galion des Appalaches. Il est résolu par le conseil de la ville de Campbellton que le don suivant soit ratifié. 4 buts et filets de soccer junior.
Do we have a seconder, un secondaire?
Je veux seconder, Monsieur le maire.
Secondé par la conseillère Mélanie Parent. Sur la question, on the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Against? Motion carried. Councillor Loga, do you have your resolution there in front of you for minor hockey?
Yes, I do.
You want to read that?
Sure.
Since you're the ones that,
Okay, resolution. Whereas City Council supports individuals and community groups and recognizes the importance of these organizations, be it resolved by the Council of City of Campbellton that the following donation be ratified. Restigouche North Minor Hockey Association, $200.
do we have a seconder or secondaire?
Second.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor Cyr. On the question, sur la question, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Against? Motion is carried. Next is Paul Equipment, rental of loader. If we can have someone to read that.
I'll go. Resolution, be it resolved by the Council of the City of Campbellton to lease a loader from Paul Equipment and Sons for a period of 1 month in the amount of $7,500 plus applicable taxes.
Do we have a seconder or secondaire?
I'll second, Monsieur.
Seconded by conseillère Parent. Sur la question, on the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Against? Motion is carried. And on that note, equipment, I'm happy to announce or to report that there's two teams of men working throughout our city today, and that's what they'll be doing all week in regards to our 2 snowblowers are going, trucks are going, so we are going to try to do some catching up. On va essayer de faire du rattrapage au cours des de la prochaine semaine. On va espérer qu'il n'y ait aucun bris d'équipement, no equipment breaks. So they did a lot today, and they're working tonight. Ils travaillent ce soir. They're on the downtown. They will be in areas where it's critical, critique. They have worked with our fire chief, with others, to identify what is critical, these endroits critiques. So, you know, we have had, as of yesterday, 303 centimeters of snow. That's what was reported, qui a été rapporté by Sugarloaf Park. More than 110 just in March. It came in as a lion, so, you know, so we will catch up, and, you know, but I don't think it'll be like Moncton or Fredericton or St. John where it's all grass. I couldn't believe the pictures a while ago watching the news, but, you know, and again, don't forget, the winter is not over, c'est pas fini. Questions, inquiries by members of council? Replies to previous inquiries? Étude, adoption d'arrêté, consideration and passing of bylaws. Notices of motion, avis de motion. Motions of which notices have been given, being none. Conseiller Savoie.
Thank you for the honor. Move to adjourn.
It was moved by Councillor Savoie. Do we have a seconder? Second. Seconded by Deputy Mayor Cyr that the meeting be adjourned at 8:40. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Merci, mesdames, messieurs. Thank you for taking a few minutes extra to listen to our historian and listening to recognizing Carole. Okay, questions, members of the media, les membres de la média, vous avez des... No? Thank you for your 6 messages during... Count them again. Count them again, okay.